Hello, you're very welcome to our ramble about the Ardee Road as we head into the townland of Cambrickville at Dundalk. I'm Seamus Ballew, Joint Secretary of the County Louth Archaeological Historical Society. We've missed our summer excursions this year, so we hope you enjoy this presentation. The photo shows Ballybarrick House in a rural setting. This is about a 10-minute walk from the Garda station and the grammar school in Dundalk. Here's an overview of our walk. In blue, we have the Carrickmacross Road. And in yellow, we have the Ardee Road, the road along which our ramble takes us. We start at Dundalk Grammar School. And Dundalk Grammar School was formerly the Louth Hospital, built in 1834. We will visit the old GNR works. We'll visit the MacArdle and Moore Brewery. We will look at the entrance of St Margaret's House, likewise with Brookfield House. We have the site of the workhouse at Dundalk, no longer standing. The Fever Hospital is still there. We have Rath House and the corner. Peter Kavanagh says that this route out of Dundalk, pretty much along the Ardee Road, was known as An Cossan Gareth, a rough patch. Now, our ramble will lead us to the various sites. So, for example, the GNR, you could spend a whole tour around the GNR. So our visits are going to be brief, but nevertheless, we hope you'll enjoy our walk. Here we zoom in on our area of interest. In addition to the GNR, the brewery, the various houses we mentioned, we're interested in two routeways that connect the Ardee Road to the Killeary area, in particular Killeary Graveyard. On the left, we have this routeway here, known as the Sedella, now practically impassable. It was the route used to take the remains of those who died in the workhouse from 1853 to the graveyard at Killeary, and there's Killeary Graveyard. Parallel to the Sedella route, we have what's called the Brewery Pass, and this pass or route is still used by local farmers. So we start on our left as we leave Dundalk and head out the Ardee Road. So there's Dundalk Grammar School. On our right is the Garda station that was once part of the old jail. This part of the jail here now serves as the county archive. You have the Garda station itself, and then the red brick building there is a different building. It's on the Carrickmacross Road. It's now the Harp Brewery. So heading further out the road, we go over the railway and we see on our left some of the buildings that were part of the GNR. Further on out the Ardee Road, on our right is the Brookfield service station, a well-known landmark. Beside the service station is this nice PNT postbox. So on this map, we're going to just locate where we actually are now. We have Brookfield service station about here on the right as we head out. So on the left of the Ardee Road as we head out, we're going to enter the GNR complex and the brewery. So we see the service station on our right as we head out from Dundalk, and on our left we have Ardee Terrace, a row of houses there, and we're going to access the GNR works and the brewery here on the left. So this is Ardee Terrace, looking back in towards Dundalk. Again, Ardee Terrace from the other end, starting here near the town and looking out the Ardee Road as we leave the town. Behind Ardee Terrace is the parallel street known as Brook Street. The houses of Ardee Terrace and Brook Street were built for railway workers by the Mahood builders of Newry in 1882. So here we have two adjoining doorways in Brook Street. At the end of Brook Street and Ardee Terrace were situated the G&R Works. This sign here has been erected by the Dundalk Railway Heritage Society, and it reads, "The main entrance, G&R Works, which employed 1,500 people, opened in 1881. And these are the buildings previously shown on the sign. The G&R Railway Company was formed in 1876 by a merger of two previous companies. On this slide, we have the census return from 1911 for Cambrickville, which was in the urban area of Dundalk. And we show the part of the census that shows the houses in a particular townland. So in a sense, the writing might be hard to make out here, but it's a good summary as to what was going on in the complex, the combination of the G&R and the brewery. So I'll just go down through these very briefly. The first two are residential dwellings. Next we have the brewery. Next we have the malt house. We have a general store. We have an engine shed. We have a wagon shop, carriage shop, the boiler shop. They were all called shops. We have the engine paint shop. We have the fitting shop. We have the machine shop that we'll see. We have the Smiths and Coopers where they operated out of. We have the new wagon building. We have carriage painting. We have the sawmill, and we have the grease shop. These houses were built for managers on the site. The one on the left was known as Brookville House, and on the right we have Brooklyn House. These names were taken from the Irish Architectural Inventory website. And we have one or two references for Brookville. The death took place in 1997 of Mrs. O'Loughlin, mother of Father Declan O'Loughlin Marist. Another reference has Mr. J.W. Jennings living here in 1935. This building nearby now serves as the Baptist Church. This sign from the Dundalk Railway Group shows the machine shop in the G&R Works. So, staying in the same vicinity, we seek out the well-known landmark, the chimney of the McArdle and Moore Brewery. McArdle and Moore and Company were formed in 1863 by Edward H. McArdle and Andrew T. Moore until the final closure by Diageo in 2001. So there's a strong brewing tradition in Cambrickville going back more than 200 years. Here we have a view of the McArdle Moore Brewery from the south side. This plaque at the present reception area leading into the complex reads, McArdle Moore and Company Limited, new packaging plant, officially opened by Rory Quinn TD, Minister for Finance, 24th of July 1995. So we now come back out onto the Ardee Road and we head out a couple of 100 yards or so. So we have just left the G&R and the brewery, so just to show you on the map where we are. Again, here is Brookville service station. We've just come up from here, and this here is the site of St. Margaret's. So we're going to just move down here about 100 yards, and the entrance is here, just at the foot of that roadway there as well. So here we are at the entrance to St. Margaret's, and two other sites in close proximity. Here is the roadway, and that's the Brewery Pass, and here is Brookville House. Here we are at the gates to St. Margaret's House. Below at the gates in 2005, as they were shown in the Architectural Inventory of Irish Buildings. And here are the gates today. This house dates from 1907 to 1908. It was the villa residence for Thomas Callan McArdle, within easy reach of the brewery offices. It's built of local brick. The lower floor is faced with Laganvale bricks. The architect was Thomas Francis McNamara, and the references come from the Irish Builder. And here's Brookville Cottage, and you can see it there on the pillar. And there's the Brewery Pass, and we'll come back and visit that. So now we leave this part of the Ardee Road, the entrance to St Margaret's, Brookville Lodge and the Brewery Pass, and we move along here to the entrance to Brookfield House. So here we are at the entrance to Brookfield House, and we're going to head in the gateway now and get a look at the house itself. So here we are at Brookfield House, still in the townland of Cambrickville. This photo was taken from the Irish Architectural Inventory website. It says the house was built circa 1780, but a local researcher thinks that it's later, that it's into the early 1800s. In the 1901 and 1911 census, the McMahon family resided here. Charles McMahon was a solicitor and he was the head of the household in 1901. Here's a side gate to Brookfield House, and we can see an outhouse, and it probably leads on into the garden. So we leave Brookfield House and we move up the Ardee Road, or out the Ardee Road, another 100 or 200 yards to the entrance to the Sedella roadway. So here's the gate leading to the Sedella, and we will stop here on the way back. I've tried to find out the meaning of the word Sedella. It seems to be Italian, but I haven't come up with a meaning yet. This is the same gateway taken from an older photograph of Google Maps, and you can see there aren't as many trees and it's not as congested, so it seems as if the council are wanting to close it off. So we leave the entrance to the Sedella, we'll come back and stop on the way back. And now we move to the corner of the Ardee Road, and then it turns sharply towards Ardee, and you go on straight to Knockbridge. And here in the corner we have Rath Cottage. So here's Rath House, lived in by the Russell family. William Russell married in 1877 Alice, daughter of Charles McMahon of Brookfield House, just down the road. Brendan Russell, son of Charles McMahon Russell, married in 1935 Constance Bellingham, granddaughter of Sir Henry Bellingham, 4th Baronet and President of our Society. Sir Henry died in 1921. So we leave Rath Cottage and we turn around and we head back in towards Dundalk along the Ardee Road, and we're going to stop here on the right and look in at the Fever Hospital and the workhouse. Now the St John of God services. This building once served as the Fever Hospital during the workhouse period. It should be pointed out that the Fever Hospital and the workhouse are in the townland of Rath. So the hospital, as we said, adjoined the site of the workhouse. The workhouse was completed in 1842 on a site donated by Thomas Fortescue, and the workhouse was demolished in 1987. It should be noted that the workhouse and St John of God is in the townland of Rath. So here's a map showing the workhouse. So you have all the complex there. That's the workhouse, the Fever Hospital. There's Rath Cottage. And you see this roadway here with the green there just highlighting part of it. That's the Sedella. And you come out the Ardee Road, and just where the yellow marking finishes, and that's a wall, and you can see the wall as you travel out the Ardee Road. But inside the wall is a plaque commemorating those who died during the famine. So on the wall, in the inside, as we said, is a plaque erected by the Old Dundalk Society, remembering the famine victims and those who died from cholera. The plaque was unveiled by Cardinal Tommaso Fee. Maureen Wilson, in her 1983 article in our journal on the workhouse, says on page 203, the famine graveyard within the walls in the course of time became used as a garden, and its original purpose or function was overlooked. So here in this slide we see a structure that somehow looks like a garden or a summer house near the location of the plaque. Here in this slide here we have a later water tower on the same site beside the Fever Hospital, and we will see this water tower again. So we leave the workhouse and the Fever Hospital and head back in towards Dundalk, but we stop here at the entrance to the Sedella. So this is the entrance to the Sedella. It was an old road made in the time of the family relief works that led to the pauper's graveyard at Killaley, and that graveyard came into use from 1853. Burials were discontinued after 1905. This roadway has now become a narrow pathway, barely passable in parts, and now blocked off at the Ardee road end. I walked along the Sedella starting at Killaley graveyard in 2018 and came out here at this gate. So we leave the entrance to Sedella and head back in towards Dundalk, and we stop at the next roadway known as the Brewery Pass. Now we're back at Brookville Cottage, and now we enter the Brewery Pass. So heading up the Brewery Pass, on my right you can see Brookfield House and some sort of a culvert, sort of a stream going along there. On my left is the brewery, so we'll head on further up, and at this stage the pass then veers away from the brewery, and you can see that this pass here is still used by local farmers. So now I'm a couple of 100 metres up the pass, and looking back you can see the gate was closed when this photo was taken. Back on the right hand side of the brewery pass is the water tower that we mentioned earlier, on the site of St John God, the former workhouse. The site of the former workhouse. Further still on the right, you can see the earlier view that we had of Ballybarrick House. On the left, we can see the Crown Plaza, and you can see the Xerox sign. And further over here on the left, if it was in the photograph, you would see the Louth Hospital. So, looking at this area view once again, we see that the Brewery Pass comes up along here and more or less comes to an abrupt end. Now, the day I walked the Brewery Pass, I had a choice going back into town where I came from, or I could try to cross the field somehow and get to Killaley Graveyard. So I found the path to this field here, and I kind of climbed the hill and kind of somehow took me around here. Now, I didn't cross the Sedella, that's kind of a roadway in its own right. So I came across here and down and in behind the graveyard and came back down that way there. So coming down along the path, there's Killaley Graveyard. The graveyard was opened in 1853 for burials from the workhouse. This is a plaque on the outside wall of the graveyard in memory of all those who were buried, who died in the local workhouse following the Great Famine. May they rest in peace. So here's a view of Killaley Graveyard from 2018. The work was still underway. In the background there you can see the path over that hill there that leads you back down to the field to the Brewery Pass, and the Sedella Walk goes along this way here. Inside the graveyard then we have a plaque erected by the committee acknowledging the work of all those who helped to restore and maintain the graveyard since 2002. So work was still in progress in 2018, as we said. Now this is the roadway that leads you out to the Ardee road near Killaley House, and you can access it by vehicle. The road is quite good, but the road continues on here and it becomes the Sedella, which one time was a roadway, as we said before, but now it's just a narrow path and it walks down along there. And you have the other path that goes over the hill to the Brewery Pass. So finally, in conclusion, here's a photograph of Ballybarrick House from a recent auction photograph, and you have the nice surrounds in the background. We hope you have found the ramble informative, and we endeavour to keep in touch over the autumn. Many thanks for all your support. Agus Slán, Agus Banach. Thanks again.